In this video, I'm going to share with you the 2023 Color Trends Palette by Behr Paint. I told you I'd do it. A dozen colors that come together and paint a really clear picture regarding the future of interior design. These 12 colors, including their color of the year selection, is Behr Paint's interpretation for 2023. And it includes a nice balance of neutral colors mixed with some more saturated ones as well. I definitely have some thoughts about how the whole palette is constructed, and I wanted to start there before I went into each individual color. The way that I interpret this whole color scheme is 6 fairly neutral colors, and then 6 accent colors. What's interesting is some of the neutrals have a decent amount of color within them, and the accent colors are fairly dynamic, but more so because they're dark and rich rather than bright and vibrant. And a good portion of them tend to favor the warmer side of color. There are no real true steel or cement grays to be seen here. There's not a ton of blue undertones present, unless it's a color trying to be blue. And I have a sneaking suspicion as to why there are so many neutrals right off the bat, but I'll get to that later on. Why don't I quickly go through the paint colors themselves, starting with our color of the year, blank canvas. We recently did a video all about this color and my thoughts on its selection. If you want to check that out, I'll leave it here for you. But essentially, I felt like I understood why it was picked. Now, I'm not going to front with you, okay? It is kind of a boring choice when you look at it, because it really is just an off-white at the end of the day. But my eyes became opened once I started seeing the other colors in this trends palette, and some of the photos on the Behr website, putting them all together, really painted a clear picture. No pun intended. That really changed things for me because for an off-white color of the year, a lot of these photos on the Behr website had a lot of real color in them. There's a big difference between picking a mid-tone neutral for your color of the year or an off-white like blank canvas, because an off-white is more likely to be a blank canvas. You see what I did there? You can even look at the next color in this palette, Spanish Sand, for example. Nice, warm, neutral color, nothing really to write home about, but it doesn't quite blend in as seamlessly as blank canvas would. It would read as a beige, which we are seeing more and more in the last year or so. And as neutral as this color feels, blank canvas is clearly the more passive color here. The next color you have is Pure Earth, and this color has a similar amount of warmth, but feels much deeper, more of a brown tan color, yet still within that neutral zone. Here you have a color that is dark enough where it will tend to stand out in most situations, but the undertones themselves are so relaxed that you're not going to offend anyone with it, unless if they really hate neutrals. Behr Paint then shifts a bit with Perfect Taupe, and this is a color that is named correctly. Taupe is known for combining gray and brown, and that gray is present here, which some people might be annoyed by because gray is the worst apparently. But I do think it's a good addition for the fact that the added grayed out taupe might suit a space in your home more than something warmer or more gold or brown or beige leaning. It adds to the variety of the palette. A really interesting neutral choice is this one, Smoky Pink, which I would say is kind of grougey. And if you don't know what that means, it's kind of a paint people made up term that combines gray and rouge or a red type of color. These red undertone neutrals can be somewhat polarizing depending on how you use them. When you surround them with other neutrals of slightly varying undertones, it can coexist fine and really add some depth, some visual complexity, but it can also have a very complementary relationship with anything that is green leaning, and that's because green and red are opposing on the color wheel, so there will be some competition between the two. But that can also make for a very dynamic combination, so it's just whatever your preference is. That's a sort of healthy competition within design, because when one color complements the other, it can be a high risk, high reward situation, depending on your preference and your overall design goals. This is the last neutral, and it's a borderline cool gray color, but really has a lot of blue going on. It's sort of a smoky grayed out blue that has a reasonable amount of depth to it and almost feels like it doesn't belong with these other colors that are more earthy. But I've seen blues like this amongst browns and beiges, especially as a small pop of color here and there, or in a sectioned off room like a bathroom or even a bedroom, or even just on the vanity of a bathroom. That's a cool idea, but not really all that innovative, even though I'd say it's still effective as a color. But wait till you see the next 6 colors because they are quite a bit different. loaded with color and very exciting. And right before I get to that, if you've made it this far and you're enjoying the content, it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button and subscribe to keep up to date with the many videos we post every single week. 100K subscribers is our next big goal, and you can help us get there by joining the Paint People family. So the 6 neutral colors for a lot of people are going to be your wall color choices of this palette. And what I mean by that is it's going to be easier for certain people to just stick with neutrals on your wall because they're a little more safe, I guess you could say. And there is no shame in that either. I love neutrals. Don't feel like you need to really break the trends and do the new big color all over your home. If neutrals are your safe zone, then these colors are within that wheelhouse. While I definitely encourage you to explore some of these other more daring options coming up, it's not the end of the world if you just want to sprinkle those bold colors into your decor or your accessories or even your cabinets. So yeah, don't assume you gotta paint your foyer spiced mustard, which is our next color, even though I love this color to death. I think I love it even more on my dining room chairs rather than my bedroom ceiling, so. Or a color like aubergine, which is a deep, dark, almost chocolatey purple that may seem a bit daunting to some of you, but can actually function as a nice alternative to black or slate gray, especially as an accent wall choice. You have vermilion, which is a color that is creeping up more and more this last year. Let's call it terracotta 2.0. So not necessarily the more fiery orange clay colors from like 15, 20 years ago. This one incorporates that rosy touch, which makes it more unique, but could throw people off when used in higher quantities. Trust me, I know. These last 3 colors, however, I personally enjoy as paint colors in different ways. Sophisticated teal is a deep blue dominant teal, but I really enjoy it as a bedroom or office color. Anywhere you appreciate a sense of calm and groundedness, and that's accomplished because of the blue color theory aspect of serenity and peace, but also because it's deep, like a deep blue sea that you can just float in. You also have Conifer green, which almost feels like an army green to me. It has that slightly khaki brown touch to mute it a little bit, which does make it more versatile, but I do tend to gravitate towards dark greens with a little more clarity, I guess you could say. A little more actual green. And then the piece de resistance, which apparently is a hybrid of green and beige, making for the greatest example of greenage I've ever seen. This is a color that I can get behind. In the comments below, tell me your favorite color pairing from this entire palette. If you had to use 2, which 2 would they be? For a deeper dive on blank canvas, you can click right over here. Kudos to you, Behr. I love bears.